Connie V, I'm certain it was you. We're like, radical forgiveness. Have you heard of radical forgiveness? I'm like, no, well, thanks for throwing me in that rabbit hole. I didn't really find out what radical forgiveness was, but of course I went into the whole Duggar thing. I'm like, what? I think, let's call them normal people. Normal. I mean, who have not grown up in this family dynamic. Lucky for them, that they didn't. That's so cool that there are people out there. But the problem with normal people is that the radical shit that happens to you in a narcissistic family dynamic is so unbelievable that the normal people don't believe you. And then they believe the narcissist. And it's like, what? Huh? Anyway, yeah, that's what happens. So it sucks. I mean, I'm super glad that there's normal people that have had normal childhoods that have not experienced these things. I'm glad that they exist, but they make the best flying monkeys for narcissists because it's unbelievable what the narcs do. So they don't believe it, Anyway, and then the person that is being victimized by a narc is oftentimes emotionally unstable or emotionally volatile. And the narc just says, see, they're fucking crazy. Look at them. Can you imagine dealing with somebody that's falling apart and flipping out all the time like them? I can't believe the lies they tell about me, blah, blah, blah. And the narcissist is elevated until they're a fucking hero. Anyway, yeah, people are like, why didn't they tell? And how come the babysitter didn't tell? I'm sorry. With the Duggars, was it babysitter molested? Did this happen to that? Why didn't they tell? Come on now, the internet's been out for 30 years. We've been talking about this for 30 years, and people still say, why didn't they tell? Because they'll be blamed, shamed, mocked. It'll continue to happen. You'll have to sit at the dinner table with your molester while you were told basically you were too sexy. It was your fault. I mean, or they'd just be killed. They'd have an accident. They'd commit suicide, car. I mean, these people have access to shit tons of money and shit tons of evil people to do their bidding. Okay? That's why they don't tell. Jill Duggar apparently is the one who was like, and blew down my fucking whistle. And I'm sure she'll be demonized until, I'm surprised she's alive. I'm surprised they haven't found out a way to frickin' kill her from afar. Good for her. Go, Jilly. Go, Jill! But it's sad, and I hope that Jill doesn't have guilt of because it embarrassed other victims. What her telling. I hope she doesn't feel guilt about it at all. Because that's one reason why I would never tell as an adult. And my son's father said he felt that I had a duty at the time, this was years ago, a duty to tell. You got to tell. He has killed children. Now my brother's children are grown. They're adults. They never knew me. I've been estranged from him for over 25 years. Well, he's dead now. But, I mean, there's no point. I mean, if he did something to his own kids, they got to deal with it. It was not my fault. But I had no way of knowing that this guy was going to do anything to anybody. I didn't understand anything at the time. I needed to heal. It wasn't my responsibility to save the world or save the world from him. And knowing that I would tell, and I did tell my parents by phone, and I was immediately cut off. The family closed ranks. I was out forever. Fuck me. Fuck you, Karen. And she believed me. My mother knew I told her the truth and it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Nothing. It was, well, if you had really met Jesus like you said you did when you were 18, and this wouldn't even be bothering you anymore. I'm sorry, what? So this is why they don't tell. And I hope that Jill doesn't have guilt over the exposure of what her brother did, causing other people pain because now their secret is out that they were molested or raped or whatever the hell went on. And I hope she doesn't feel it. That's it. I wish that I would have had the nerve. But see, I wouldn't have been able to deal with the guilt of thinking that my two nieces and nephew, who I've never met, would be like, hate my guts for saying such horrid things about their wonderful father. It never happened, blah, blah, blah. And just be like, because he probably didn't abuse his kids. I think that his wife became his new scapegoat because terrible things happened to her after I found out years later. Horrible things that had been perpetrated against her. But so it sounds sick, I guess. Maybe I am still sick. I would rather, at this point, his adult children live a life thinking that their dad was a fucking awesome dude instead of them being psychologically troubled like hard by realizing that their dad was a narcissist and fucked their mom up. On the other hand, I do feel for their mother, who I haven't talked to in many, many years. I barely even knew her when he was married to her, because she was scapegoated real hard. Go ahead, babe. Go ahead out. And maybe it would be healing for her. I don't know. Well, let's just leave it all in the hands of the Creator. And if he wants, he wants this to resolve for my brother's ex-wife and her adult children and for them, because I'm certain that they probably think she's a fucking psycho idiot based on what I've heard. And it'd be healing for her children to be like, oh my God. But see, I don't think me getting involved today it's not going to make things better. If she were to ever reach out to me and say, hey, my brother's ex-wife, hey, Karen, I'm sorry we haven't talked in 25 years or that I barely knew you, but I ran across your channel. Can you help me with my kids? Because they don't, like if you could tell the story, like they would understand. You know what I mean? Like if she reached out and said, hey, man, I realized what happened and why you were scapegoated and thrown out of the family, because then I became the new scapegoat and I've got adult children and they think I'm crazy. Can you please tell them the truth? I would. I would tell them. They'd probably hate me and her even more. Lying whores! We're lying bitches! That's what we are. Because her whole family has scapegoated her. And her children are probably standing with them. So my own adopted parents stood by my brother when it was just I'm sure. So she's like scapegoated so many ways. It's sick. Anyway, if I had the ability to hug her and say, I'm so sorry that you got the flack after I left. I had no idea that it was going to turn on her. I hope she's all right. I know she's got an Etsy shop. I searched her name. She's got an Etsy shop. But anyway, I hope she's all right. That's why we don't tell. A lot of reasons.